Okay, welcome to our first SVE demo online. I want to thank you all for coming to our online event today. Again, this is our first SVE demo. We're going to have insert lots of special instructions in the event. Before we start, I want to thank all the judges who join us today. First, I want to introduce all the judges. Maybe you can introduce yourself. Start with the Pawan, who are leading the selection process as well as the judge panel today.
Right. This is Pawan. I'm partner at F50 Elevate. I'm an ex-founder. I'm an angel investor, and I'm also a startup mentor. I did 2 startups in the past, and I spend my time between India, Middle East, and USA. It would be exciting to listen to your pitches and give my feedback today. Thank you.
Okay, John.
Hi, I'm John. I'm also an F50 partner, also a mentor for many of the startups. I myself have been through 6 different startups as part of a startup team, had 4 successful exits, and I'm also now more recently a early stage investor and work with a lot of early stage companies as well. So happy to be here, and I'm very excited to listen to your pitches. So thank you.
Debbie.
I'm Debbie Hindis. Like my 2 colleagues, I am a partner at F50 Elevate. I am a serial entrepreneur. I actually started a company literally in the ashes of 9/11. So I feel your pain. I've had a couple of decent exits, and now I do quite a bit of mentoring and advising to young companies, particularly in the area of making yourself look bigger than maybe you think you are, or other people might think you are.
Great. Next, maybe lady first, Sylvia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sylvia Bambra. I'm the managing partner of a company here in Silicon Valley Property Ventures. We specialize in innovative home restructuring and affordable housing. My passion is healthcare, health tech. I exited my first company back in the mid to late 90s in Canada, and have always held a great esteem for the medical profession, the healthcare industry, and I have recently joined F50 as a mentor, and I was part of the first cohort as a mentor. I'm looking forward to hearing your pitches and looking forward to participating. Thank you.
James.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm James Sowers. I'm one of the mentors at F50 and a few other accelerators. I'm also an angel investor and director of Greater Good Society, and I've also started advising companies and helping them how to get in front of and work with family offices for later funding rounds.
Okay, great. So before we start the presentation, I want to ask our judges, particularly our mentors, the question: what are you doing these days? Particularly, is a pandemic, everybody stay home. Are you still investing? Do you have any suggestions to the startup who of course, are facing all sorts of challenges right now? Maybe lady first, Sylvia.
Yes, I see many opportunities here. As far as my work is concerned, it is ongoing, although it's certainly more remote than it's ever been. But the work continues. When I think about our current situation with COVID-19, we're really better off to focus on staying safe, staying at home, and deciding if we can somehow participate in the solutions, and I use the word solutions with an S, there are many solutions to this current crisis, and to participate in future prevention strategies. My background in public health is really it's coming to the forefront. I'm watching with great interest in what's happening with vaccine development and testing and all the data that's coming out of every country in the world about what is happening currently, how many people have been tested positive, how many people have died around the world. which, you know, does give us an indication of how the virus is moving and what the impact of the virus is globally. However, we need to step back. We need to be very careful to think about the future. We are currently in crisis management. We have to step back and look at prevention. And we need to develop ways to move forward. Once this crisis is behind us, the lessons that we learn here will allow us to be much more effective going forward. I encourage every startup, particularly in the health space, to really be looking at how they can participate, how you can participate in creating future solutions to the situation. Thank you.
James?
Yeah, first, everybody obviously needs to worry about their health and safety and that of their family and friends and neighbors and just people they run into, you know, social distancing and being courteous to others. As far as startups goes and things like that, I've always had the saying, you know, bull markets make genius of everyone. And in the bad times and the hard times, we're going to find out who has the real companies. Because a lot of so-called unicorns are going to find out their valuations aren't what they thought they were. And they may not actually have a real business model. So this is a good time for any company, regardless of the stage, from just starting to further along, to really look through and see what their cash flow is and make a plan to hunker down so they can become cash flow positive in the next, you know, 6 to 12 months. And also, if they need to raise funds, think about lowering their valuation and making it more reasonable to close funds fast so they can be the one to survive.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm going to ask one question for all the judges. Whoever has the answer can jump in, okay? So this is a great global crisis. They need solutions. Let's turn it the positive way. What are the opportunities? I remember somebody said, never waste a great crisis. Means there are always opportunities and something. So maybe you can, what are the opportunities? Whoever has the answer can jump in.
To work remotely, to determine the best ways. I think we already have a lot of very sophisticated technology that allows people to work in teams remotely as we're doing today. But I think that's an excellent space for new innovation. How can we help teams to be effective remotely? And how can we help people to interact in person in a safe way? Not that we all become paranoid and walk around with masks and gloves on all day long, but how can we interact in an interpersonal way that is safe, that allows for the minimization, I guess, of transmission? I think those are two areas that whoever develops those solutions will be a winner.
I'm gonna expand on what Sylvia just said and pick up on the notion of remote work. And I think it's really, it's obvious that, you know, we're all having to take it, we're having to take advantage of it, whether we like it or not. And I think what we're learning is that there are ways to get things done. You know, the world doesn't stop just because we have coronavirus, right? So we have to move on. We have to find creative new ways. The good news is, you know, if you go back to, the crises back in the 80s and 90s, we couldn't do what we're doing right now. Technology just was not there, right? So we have better opportunities. And I think this is going to create opportunities for startups to realize that, hey, you know what, you've got to go out and find the best resources and the best people, no matter where they are. The notion that everybody's got to be located here in the Bay Area is antiquated. And in fact, it's counterproductive when you look at it from the perspective of quality of life issues, right? So I think it's actually going to create a new attitude that, you know, the days of having to have everybody in one central location, I think those are gone. And I think people can be located where they need to be more productive. We'll have to pick up new skills and new processes to learn how to manage more effectively in a remote world. But I think that's very doable. So I'm optimistic about it.
I agree.
So I have a comment related to what John just said. I think that there are a lot of resources that are available to startups now that are not normally available. It is much easier to get people to respond to you and to talk to you. There's been a flattening, as it were, of the social hierarchy in the tech world. because many people who you normally couldn't get to are eager, shall we say, to talk to somebody new, right?
Yep.
And to hear new ideas. So I think it's a great time to round up resources. Also, there's lots of people sitting on their keisters who have skills who might be willing to work with you for an equity stake later. And if you're not scrounging up all the resources you can, you're missing a bet. I think that there is going to be a little bit of a rebound. People are, at the end of this are going to say, gee, I really want us to get together sometimes. And that's another opportunity. And I saw this right after 9/11, where the real estate market for office space for startups just crashed. And so if you're not out there starting to look for space because you can't quite do that yet, you ought to be doing it electronically and figuring out exactly where you want to be, where's the centroid for your team members, can you be near public transit, and you be ready to rock and roll, because once things start opening up again, there's going to be a lot of space available at prices that you may not see again for years. So I say, go for it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be opportunities in a lot more virtual conferences, because once people get used to this, there's going to be conferences, overseas in different locations where people can easily participate, where it saves time. You don't have to spend on travel, or just take the time to travel. And then there's going to be a big opportunity in cybersecurity for these type of things. Things like Zoom are going to need a new type of cybersecurity.
Great. I feel this situation brings a great opportunity, first time ever, where the entire world is involved in this. And I agree with most of the things which were said, not just to repeat on it, but also this situation will separate out the leaders from the rest. And those who survive this situation and do something different, who innovate in this situation, would definitely emerge as the leaders out of this crisis. And that is where the whole opportunity lies. How do you identify those opportunities? How do you leverage your strengths, both in terms of your professional strengths as well as your financial strengths, to survive and come out of it and emerge as a leader? That's where the whole challenge comes for the founders. Yep.
Okay, great. So Sumer is ready for the real demo.